Okay? So don't look just at the heart, also look at the stomach. Now, don't only have to think about these cardiac side of conversion, but you also have to think about the empathetic system. And I think tomorrow we'll talk about it. So, what are the causes of insomnia? Medical information. So here we have left side, right side. How many cardiac changes do you see here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 4. Maybe 2. 1 atrial, 1 differential. Okay? So the heart is on the left side. The heart is on the right side. The apex is on the right side. 2 cardiac changes. What else does normally do? Anything abnormal? I told you to look at how much do you send the order? Is that a normal descending order? No, it's in the middle. It's on the left side. Okay. How about this thing? It's Friday, 5 o'clock. You have to go to the church, at the daycare center, and you see this picture. This is the left side, this is the right side, 4 chambers. Normal?
No.
Not normal. Which of the 2 ventricles is the longest? The front one. So the front one is the left ventricle. This is the moderate ventricle. So this is the right ventricle. Okay? This atrium here we see is pulmonary vein. Although this pulmonary vein here is very long. So this is the left atrium, and this is the left ventricle. So the ventricle are inverted, but the atrial ventricle are concordant. Okay? You see, it's hard to know when it is. Now, in this position, the heart is shifted to the right. How do you chest wall? So you're looking for a space behind lesion on the left side of the chest. And typically, what you're looking for is a left diaphragm cardiac, cystic and inflammatory malformation of the lung, personal lobar, edema, left shoulder fusion, pneumothorax, cardiac fever, wide line chest. Okay? Now, here we have a section, we see the stomach on one side, we see the heart on the other side. The axis of the heart is oriented with a midline. So this is a left diaphragm hernia. The diaphragm hernia will split the vein just as well as the cardiac anomaly, so it's important to recognize that. This is a vein that has a long, wide left lung. This is cystic adenopathic population of the lung. You see the heart is pushed to the right side, but also the liver spinal. The aorta and the adjacent vein are also cystic. And here we have a large left shoulder fusion. The heart is on the right side, the liver spinal is on the right side. You see that in all these 3 cases, the apex of the heart is pointing to the front, not to the right side, like in the cardiac that I showed you in the slide before. The front, not to the right side. So important distinction. Also notice that behind the heart, you can see the right lung. Okay? Compare with this lady, behind the heart, you don't see the right lung. And the cardiac beats are all normal. This is the baby that has right lung infinity. So when the baby is born, it will have a very ugly chest X-ray. But some of these babies do actually pretty well. So don't get confused between basic position and basic cardiac. So the aorta on the left side, the aorta on the right side. So you can have apex on the left side, apex on the right side, and the aorta on the right or on the left. So you have to pay attention to all these different situations. And if it's not a usual situation, look for an anomaly. So again, here we have the aorta is in the middle, here the aorta is on the right side. So these 2 babies just had the cardiac anomaly. And you can know something very obvious. If you read these, if you have 2 hearts, you don't see that. You have to think, where is the descending aorta? Where is this aorta? The aura is in the middle, the apex is on the left side. How about this heart? What is the apex? Middle. Why does it not normal with this heart? That's where the light is equal. Are they equal? The light is too big. Maybe now, let's say metal. How about the two-way veins? Two-way veins go to the left atrium. All the two-way veins go in between. So the last time we get to the left atrium. And the same work, on the right side. Okay? So although this is the full chamber, this is not a normal view at all. Okay? If you look at one side of the coin, how many parts of this? 50%, because it's a 25, or 25, or whatever. These are all cylindrical anomalies. So if you see a right inside your arch, always think of cylindrical anomalies. Normal, well, normal, the baby on the left, on the right side. Axis the heart, 90 degree, descending aorta on the right side. If you read some article that says the four-chamber view is not a good screening tool for cardiac anomaly because it doesn't detect outward tract anomalies. Well, if you don't look at all the findings of the four-chamber view, yes, that's true. But if you look at all the findings, you can detect many outward tract anomalies. This is the stomach. This is the descending aorta. What is this? IVC. Normal or abnormal? Who says normal?
Abnormal.
Who says abnormal? Very good. This is the four-chamber view of the heart. This is the descending aorta. This is, who says IVC? No one says IVC? You're right. You cannot have the IVC behind the heart because by definition, the IVC drains into the right atrium. So if you see this, for sure the baby has IVC interaction with azygos continuation. So probably left heterotaxis syndrome. Remember that as you go from the low to the high abdomen, the IVC is moving anterior into the liver because it has to go and join the right atrium. So if you see IVC next to the spine, this is never a normal IVC. So here we have the descending aorta, and I'm just below the four-chamber view. What is the vessel between the descending aorta and the four-chamber? Anyone who's good at anatomy? You didn't like to study anatomy either, huh? Neither did I. But there should be no vessel between the aorta and the four-chamber. And so I make it disappear. What was that? Photoshop? Not Photoshop. This is the esophagus. Baby swallow fluid, and you see the fluid go through the esophagus. That's a normal finding. Another one here, aorta, esophagus, azygos. And the baby in which you see that the most are baby that have trisomy 21 and duodenal atresia. Because they swallow fluid, they have a big distended duodenum, and then they vomit the whole thing. And so you see the fluid coming in and coming out. Okay? It's a normal finding. The lesson is that any tube next to the heart is not necessarily a vessel. It could be the esophagus or the trachea. So here we have, behind the heart, you see the esophagus here, and you see it go into the stomach. Normal finding. This is the thymus. Okay? Now, this is an image I like very much. You have just seen that the new Medicine machine here has 256 crystals and 256 grayscales. This is a machine from 1982. It had 64 crystals and 16 grays of scale. This is the head of the baby. This is the chest of the baby. This black line here is either a jugular vein in which case you would go to the superior cava, or it is a carotid artery. And it connects to this vessel here, which is an arch, and that arch is coming right behind the sternum. So this baby has transposition of the great arteries. And I like this picture because sometimes people come into me and say, oh, Philippe, you have all the expensive machines, so of course you can make a good diagnosis. I had this crappy little machine that the government is giving me, and I cannot make the diagnosis. Don't think like that. You may not be able to get all the fine details, but this is a machine that none of you want to use, and still in 1982 we could make a diagnosis. And as I look at you, I see many of you were not even born in 1982. You were still follicles. So don't get discouraged because you have a bad machine. Try to get a good one, but if you don't have it, you can still make diagnosis. So here I'm going through the aortic arch, and you see the aortic arch with brachiocephalic arteries, and underneath you see the pulmonary veins. And then we're going to turn, and now we see the azygos arch. That's a normal finding, and under the azygos you see the right pulmonary artery and the right pulmonary vein. Remember, the pulmonary artery is more sympathetic than the vein, and since the velocity is higher, the diameter is smaller than the pulmonary vein. And then if you keep scanning and you make a cross-section at this level here, you get an image in which you see the azygos arch entering in the back of the superior vena cava, and this is the azygos arch. Normal finding, and these two black dots here are the two main stem bronchi, left and right main stem bronchi. So in the first step, what we did was very, very simple. No one can miss that. We look at the apex, the heart, the stomach, the descending aorta, and all of them should be on the left side. Now, in the second step, we're going to start looking at the heart in itself. And what we're going to do is look at the chambers. We want to see that there are 4 chambers. We want to see that the atria are connected to the proper ventricles, that there's concordance. We want to see the ventricular and the atrial septum, and we want to see the insertion of the atrioventricular valves. So I've shown this, we can skip. Remember, the right ventricle is shorter, and you have this offset between the tricuspid and the mitral valve. The second defect, I've shown you that. So here we have a really abnormal heart. This heart is left axis deviated. You see the atrioventricular septum is at 90 degrees, and we have a very large right side. And we see a tricuspid valve, which is very abnormal. Now, this could be one of 2 things. It could be a tricuspid dysplasia with a lot of regurgitation, or it can be an Epstein anomaly. And actually, this is an Epstein anomaly, and you can see that with cardiopathy. In tricuspid dysplasia, you will have current regurgitation from the middle of this chamber here, which is the right ventricle in tricuspid dysplasia. But in Epstein anomaly, this is the atrialized portion of the right ventricle, all that. The right ventricle is just a tiny slit at the apex over here. So this is Epstein anomaly with massive regurgitation. Now this is something very important because in the fetus, we have something different from the pediatric and the adult circulation. If my mitral valve gets obstructed, my whole heart is going to enlarge. In the pediatric and the adult circulation, obstruction results in dilatation. That's not true in the fetus. If you obstruct one side of the fetus, you have 2 bypasses through the foramina vitae and through the ductus. So in fetuses, obstruction usually does not, there's some exception, but usually does not result in distension, dilatation. Dilatation in the fetus results from regurgitation. So when blood goes back and forth through the AV valve, this causes distension of the chambers, and that's what you have in 15. Here we have the tricuspid atresia, in which the valve is too delayed. The blood cannot go from the left right atrium to the right ventricle. It goes to the left atrium, left ventricle, and this baby has a large muscular septal defect, and therefore we have some flow in the right ventricle. So if you do a 3-vessel tube color, how many colors are you going to see? 1 color or 2 colors? No, not 2, 1, exactly. You'll see one because you will have forward flow in the aorta and forward flow in the pulmonary, but you'll see that the pulmonary will be much thinner than the aorta. Here we have no atrioventricular valve and no structure inside the middle of the heart during diastole. And this is very classical of the atrioventricular septal defect, the complete form you can see over here. Nothing in the middle of the heart. Even at 10 weeks, you can see this baby has bradycardia, which is common in atrioventricular septal defect, and you see a communication between the right and the left ventricle. This baby has high drops. It was there from the Vsum screening. No need to do Vsum screening. The baby has presently 21, and the mother can make a decision on the pregnancy. There's a few intracardiac membranes that you have to be aware of. One is a large foraminovalia flap that is called an atrial septal aneurysm. You see the foraminovalia flap is much larger than normal, and it goes at least halfway through the left atrium. You see this baby also has tracheostomy with a ventricoseptal defect and a hypoplastic right ventricle. So atrial septal aneurysm. Another one you can see is a courtois trajectory. Remember I told you about the pulmonary veins joining the back of the left atrium, and sometimes you can see this remnant of a membrane over here. Now, in the fetus, this is usually not a problem because the fetal circulation, fetal lung circulation is low flow, not small flow. But when the baby is born, the patent orifice here may be restricted, and so this baby may develop courtois trajectory. So those babies need to be rescanned after birth. This one is a coronary sinus, and you see this baby coronary sinus is normal or too big? This is normal. This is too big? Yeah, of course. This is a baby that has resistant left superior cava with drainage to the coronary sinus. So you want to investigate that baby for isomerism. This is hard to see and it's not common. This is an open mitral valve and there's a thin membrane in front, a premitral diaphragm, which is associated with trisomy 21. This, on the right atrium, you see this little bump inside the frontal aspect of the right atrium. This is called a Chiari net. This is a common variant. 1% of the population has a Chiari net, so it's not something to consider abnormal. And if you see something similar on the left atrium, think about a Coumadin ridge. So you can have something on the right, something on the left side. This is the eustachian valve into the left atrium, and you see the aortic valve and pulmonary valve, and sometimes the eustachian valve can be quite large. This is the valve of Tibesius at the end of the coronary sinus, also a normal finding. Don't confuse that with something normal. If you look at the motion of the foraminovalia, it has a double excursion. You have one excursion during the systole, and then you have another excursion during the atrial contraction. So you have to see this double motion of the foraminovalia flap, and if you see only one single motion, think the baby has an atrial septal aneurysm. If you look at ventricular septal defect, and you look in an apical view, which is what we often use when we do field echo, the interventricular wall is going to be almost parallel to the ultrasound beam. And if the beam is parallel, it has no interface to refract on. So the machine will have no signal to provide. The machine will provide a 12-hour artifact. It will put a black hole that looks like a ventricular septal defect. So avoid doing an apical view, go instead in a transcostal view, and now you are perpendicular to the interventricular septum. And then you have a good reflector. The problem is that the majority of ventricular septal defect are more narrow than the width of the beam. So the edge of the beam are going to be touching the edge of the septal defect, and the machine will average those echo and cover the fact that there's a ventricular septal defect. So what is the solution for that? You pay good money for that. You have to use it. Press on the button, call a doctor. The choreographer will have a double shift here, which is perfectly aligned with the beam of ultrasound. You will have maximal double shift, and you will have the best possible resolution for ventricular defect. Always do choreography on intercostal views of the septum to look for ventricular defect. Now, if there was truly a septal defect, there would be a crest at the top of the septum. And that crest can return a very tiny echo. And if you pay attention to that, you will see a little white dot at the end of the intravenous septum. And that white dot tells you that this is really an interface, and this baby truly has a ventricular defect. So be on the lookout for this little white dot over here. Now both ventricles are working against the same resistance, and since they're working against the same resistance, they have about the same size. In the fetus, the right ventricle can be up to 20% larger than the left ventricle. So a little bit of right ventricle preference there. But if you see something like this, in which the left ventricle is 9 millimeter and the right ventricle is 18 millimeter, this is really outside the normal range. And the first thing to look at this time is to look for the aortic arch and see if you see a defect in the back of the aortic arch. This is very classical of coarctation of the aorta. This is another example, another of these old images from 1982. And this was my professor, John Hoggins, a wonderful person. And when you have asymmetry of the ventricle, most of the time it is because the section is not equatorial to both ventricles, so you have to correct for that. But if this is the best you can get, then it's abnormal. And he decided to do an institution on this baby, and the baby had trisomy 18. Now, in 1982, we didn't know that having the AV valves at the same level was a sign of atrial defect, which is, of course, a big indicator of trisomy 18. But now we know that. But in 1982, this is only thing we knew. So if you see an asymmetry like this, there's a long list of differential diagnosis of causes for that. But by far the most common here is coarctation of the aorta. Now, look at the position of the ventricle. Here we have the two ventricles, normal or normal. The short ventricle is posterior, the long ventricle is anterior. The AV valve closer to the apex is the posterior AV valve instead of the anterior AV valve. So here we clearly have an inversion of the ventricle. And this is the right ventricle on the posterior aspect. This is the left ventricle on the anterior aspect. This is an atrium that receives the pulmonary veins. So this has to be the left atrium. And the left atrium is connected to the right ventricle. What is this condition? This is the L transposition of the great artery. This is what is also called the congenitally corrected transposition of the great artery. Remember I talked to you before of the D transposition, and I may cover this tomorrow also. In the D transposition, before chamber view is normal, it's the outflow tract which is abnormal. In the L transposition, before chamber view is very abnormal, and so is the outflow tract. Sometimes we have too few chambers. Here we have a large common atrium because the interatrial septum is missing. This is essentially a ostium secundum type of defect. Or you have nothing in between because again we have a common form of atrial receptor defect. Or you may have a single ventricle. Here we have one single ventricle, there's almost no interventricular septum, but you see we have two AV valves. This is the tricuspid valve, this is the mitral valve. So this is a double inlet single ventricle. Which Vietnamese animal has a double inlet single ventricle? You know it. The frogs. Frogs have a double inlet single ventricle. And this is something that always shocked me. If I was to design the pump, would I design the inside of the pump smooth and the outside irregular? Or would I design the inside of the pump irregular and the outside smooth? Well, the answer is easy. You look in your motor, all the motors have the inside of the cylinder extremely smooth and the outside motor very bumpy. Well, we have triangulation because frogs did not have an interventricular septum. So they could not separate the right side circulation from the left side circulation. They had deep circulation, and each atria was discharging into the circulation of that side. And by a differential mechanism of contraction, the left side of the ventricle injecting into the aorta and the right side through the artery. And this is the reason why we have deep circulation inside our heart. Sometimes you have a missing chamber, and missing chamber means that this area of the heart is not perfused. If you have a tricuspid atresia here with no ventricular septal defect, so different from the one actually before, there is no blood that can go into the right ventricle. The right ventricle does not block. If you do the three-vessel view with color, you will have two colors. One color for the aorta, and the opposite color for the pulmonary artery. Here we have a two-chamber heart. We have one large atrium, and we have one ventricle with some very thick wall. This actually, if you look on the edge of the clip here, there's a little black spot here. That little black spot is a hypoplastic left heart. This is a baby that has an early aortic atresia. If you have an early aortic atresia, the blood doesn't go to the left ventricle because they can run out, and so the left ventricle does not get blocked. And you know this is what it is because if you look at the foramen flap here, you see it's flapping from the left side into the right side. So this is hypoplastic left heart syndrome. This was always confusing to me because I thought in hypoplastic left heart syndrome, you would have a hypoplastic left ventricle. And that's not true. You may have an absolute left ventricle, you can have a hypoplastic left ventricle, and you can have a dilated left ventricle. So remember this picture, because in the next few slides I will show you the other two forms. So here we have another few chambers. We have just one single chamber in the complete form of atrial septal defect. Here we have another tricuspid atresia with a hypoplastic right ventricle and a ventricular septal defect. Here we have a tricuspid atresia with ventricular septal defect, a double inlet single ventricle, and sorry for that. And here we have a left ventricle that does not look normal. First, it's not long enough. Second, is more wrong than normal. Third, it has this big white line around it, which is called endocardial fibroelastosis. And I don't have a video clip, but I can tell you that the blood was going from the left atrium to the right atrium, into the right ventricle, to the pulmonary. This is also a hypoplastic left ventricle. And this is now one in which the left ventricle started developing, but could not continue. So I'll show you one with no left ventricle, and this is one with a small left ventricle. Sometimes you may have too many chambers, and all these membranes are sure you can be confused for a chamber. Sometimes you can also have a pericardial cyst. Pericardial cysts are usually at the base of the heart. Or tracheotomy. Now you can also have an enlargement of the heart. Here we have a global enlargement, but you may also have an enlargement just of the myocardium. This is increased myocardial thickness, or you can have a bump coming out of the heart, and this is very typical of a cardiac rhabdos, or you can have a cardiac chamber which is enlarged, and typically it's the right atrium that enlarges when you see that. So here we have a heart which is much greater than a third of the heart, the chest, and you see the walls are very thick. And if you look under real time, it will be very sluggish and slow contraction. So this is cardiomyopathy. Here we have the FG that I've shown you before. Here we have a global enlargement because the heart has to work too hard. If you work harder, the heart is going to enlarge. And this happens in three shunts. The venogated aneurysm, which is the most common, the chorioangioma of the placenta, when they get to be greater than 5 centimeters, and the hemangioma of the liver, which is the least common of the three. Now, sometimes actually you can have obstructive lesion that can cause an enlargement. For instance, aortic calcinosis. This baby here has an aorta which is completely calcified, and so it doesn't expand during systole. It's like a fixed pipe. This is like atherosclerosis in all people, but it's a which is more recessive condition, so you can anticipate it. And since the heart does not, since the aorta does not extend, it will increase the resistance, and the baby will develop an enlargement and hydros. Or you may have a true nut of the cord that is tight. 1% of baby have a true nut of the cord. Very few have a tight true knot. So if you see a cardiomegaly, also look outside the cord. Sometimes you can have a heart that appears too large, but actually the heart is the normal size. It's the chest that is too small. And this is the critical finding in all the lethal skeletal dysplasia. If a skeletal dysplasia is lethal, it is not because the lung goes into forward. It's because the ribs did not expand enough to align the development of the lungs. And so the baby will die of pulmonary hyperplasia at birth. And something similar happens also in renal genesis and sometimes in some of the cystic kidney disease, in which the lugal hygienist compresses the chest and the heart looks too big compared to the size of the chest. You can have an increased myocardial thickness in the cardiomyopathy. I'll show you one in just a second. In the univentricular heart, remember my first hypoplastic left heart syndrome, they have only 2 chambers, and in the simple hypertrophy for diabetic mother that have poor control. If you find a localized enlargement, by far the most common is a cardiac tumors. 60% of cardiac tumors are rhabdos, 60% of rhabdos are associated with tuberous sclerosis. So that's the most common. Rarely you can also have myocardial infarction, but these are not very common. So if you see a baby that has several echogenic masses in the heart, what you want to do is look at the skin of the mother. Here we are with the capillary spot on the skin and the angiofibroma also on the skin. This mother actually didn't know she had tuberous sclerosis, and when you find tuberous sclerosis, also look in the brain to see if there's some nodules around the ventricle, and look in the kidney to see for echogenic masses in the kidney. And the large chamber is usually the right atrium, and then the long list of differential diameters is for enlargement of the right atrium. Rarely you will have also a decreased cardiac size, and this is typically due to compression of the heart by some very distended lungs in laryngeal trachea. So here the secretions of the lungs cannot escape the lungs become very enlarged, and they compress the heart function is decreased, and the baby goes into hydros. Abnormal echogenicity, these are the echogenic foci. We used to make a big deal about that 20 years ago. They have essentially been abandoned now. You can find air field demise, you can find dystrophic valve. I'll show you that all the tricuspid atresia always present as a white spot. The mitral atresia do the same. Sometimes you can have invasion of the interventral septum and the free wall of the left ventricle. This is a fibroma of the heart. This is a rare tumor of the heart, but it will prevent the heart from developing, and this left ventricle is not going to be functioning. And then sometimes you find a baby that has a white line all around the heart. This white line here is called endocardial fibroelastoses. And here you see the left ventricle is very large, but it doesn't have a normal shape. It's not elongated like the normal left ventricle. It's very round. And if you look on the real time, that left ventricle is not contracting at all. It's fixed. It's a sphere that is not moving. And if you do cardiography, you will see no cardiography going to that. So this also is a hypoplastic left heart syndrome, but now with a distended left ventricle. So differentiate between hypoplastic left heart syndrome and the size of the left ventricle can be anything. If you see a black line aside of the heart, especially when it's in the AV groove, think this is a pericardial effusion or pericardial fluid. To me, up to 2 millimeter is normal. Above 2 millimeter, think of all this risk of disorder, in particular the torch infection. So in the step 2, we're looking at the chambers, how they're connected, and the septation between them. Again, nothing very difficult here. Now, in the step 3, we're going to be looking now at the vessels, not far from the heart like we did in the first segment, but we're going to look at them right at the heart. And what we're going to make sure is that the aorta is arising from the left ventricle. We're going to see the continuity of the aorta with the anterior defect of the mitral valve and the anterior septum. Remember, that's why we do the left outflow chart view. We want to make sure there's no subaortic ventricle septum defect. And then we look at the pulmonary, and you want to make sure it comes from the right ventricle, and it crosses over the aura. Very important. Then we'll compare the one and the other. They have to have the similar size. We want to see the circumference of the aura and the pulmonary, and the circumference has to be on the left side of the trachea in a posterior intestinal, and there should be no extra vessels. And then we'll look at the veins, pulmonary veins, and the systemic veins. So, if we take the aura as the landmark at 100%, pulmonary can be up to 20% bigger. The other measurements are not very critical. So here we have the left upper tract, and this is obtaining systole diastole. Now they're going together. Systole diastole. What is this white dot? Aortic valve. The aortic valve is in the middle of the aura. It is closed. It's closed. It is diastole. Okay? Catch all the information out of the image. Yeah. And you want to see this continuity between the two. Here again, here again. Systole, diastole. Now, when you look at the left outflow tract, you want to see several centimeters of the ascending aorta. And the reason for that is that from time to time you'll see a bifurcation here. You'll see this aorta divided into two vessels, a right and the left artery. And so then you don't have the aorta, you actually have a pulmonary artery. And if you have the pulmonary arising from the left ventricle, you have the detransposition. So always look for several centimeters of the aortic arch. This is when you bring up what I mentioned to you before. Now, when you do an M mode at this level, you can get an interesting image called the aortic box. So if you magnify here, you have the cusp of the aorta that are close to diastole, and then very abruptly they open up here during the onset of systole. They stay open on the side of the vessel, and then they close here. So this here is called the aortic box. It's also a measure of the ejection time out of the heart. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the PR interval. So here we have a very different aortic valve. I'll show you some aortic valve that were a little white dot inside the aorta. Here we have a big white line. That is not a normal valve. This is a thickened aortic valve. And it's not opening properly. During systole, it domes, it makes a curve. There's a thin jet that goes through that. If I put color Doppler here, what kind of color would I see? Every color. You'll see aliasing because of the high velocity jet. Here we have another example with a bicuspid aortic valve. Very common anatomy. Actually, Leonardo da Vinci was the first one to diagnose that. And the daughter of one of my sonographers has a bicuspid aortic valve. So if you see the aura, and the aura has a foot on both ventricle, you see the leg of the ballerina is broken. This is an overriding aorta. This is a subaortic VSD. This is very typical of the tertiary failure. Okay, so easy to recognize. Break in the leg of the ballerina. Another example, overriding of the aorta, overriding of the aorta. Think about common arterial trunk, and some of the diagonal artery right ventricle could also do that. Now, this is a dangerous image. Is this a ventricosectional defect? Is this a tertiary failure? Or is this a normal example? Who says this is normal? Who says this is abnormal? Okay, not too many. So it could be one of two things. It could be that this is an overriding aorta, or it could be this is a crisscrossing of the pulmonary and the aorta. And how do you know one from the other? Well, you want to change the angle of the view. You want to make a good depth outflow chart, and then you see with the cardiographer that these two vessels, this one pulmonary is in red, and it goes from the blue to the red through black. So these are not touching each other. What happened here is that my section was just on the undersurface of the pulmonary. This is just bottom of the pulmonary, and so it returns and no echo. And here I have corrected the section and I moved it down below. So be careful about that, because this gives you a lot of false ventricosectional defect This is a common reason for over-reading them, and you have to do a cardiography with this image to make sure that this is correct or not. So be careful with this image. Now here we have left aortic tract. It goes into the aorta, and surprise, surprise, this aorta is dividing in two vessels. The aorta should not be doing that. This is not the aorta, this is the artery. So this is not a normal left aortic tract. This is a detransposition of the coronary artery.
bất thường đường
Here we
đó
have
bất
the
trái.
vessel view, and you see the alignment of the vessels over here, and it should be almost touching normally, and you see the position of the thymus here in front of the three vessel view. Now, look at this one here, very different. We have a pulmonary which is too narrow. You see the aorta is much larger than the pulmonary. This is what happens in the Georgia Fallot or in pulmonary atresia, for instance. Well, here we have just the opposite. We have a massively distended pulmonary. The two branches of the pulmonary are very distended compared to the aorta. This is the absent pulmonary valve syndrome, and although it's called absent pulmonary valve syndrome, you see the pulmonary valve is there. It's just completely effaced and did not develop, and so it has complete regurgitation in the stomach. Remember, I showed you that you can go from this view by changing a little bit to the double arched view over here. And you can see in this view, you should have the two vessels the same size, and they all should go on the left side of the trachea. Here we have right midstern bronchus, left midstern bronchus. Here, on the other hand, we have a large pulmonary with very thin aorta. So the aorta is very small, and you can see that it's not posterior to the line that I described to you when we're talking about three vessel view. Think about coarctation of the aorta, tubular hyperplasia of the aorta, hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and so on and so forth. Here, again, we have a large pulmonary and an aorta that is very small. Again, hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and you see that the aorta is in retreat compared to this line that we described earlier. This is the opposite. Now we have a thick pulmonary and a large aorta, and this is what we have in Detroit Fallot. Here we have an aorta that is slightly ahead of this line, and this is a more mild form of tetralogy Fallot also. Here we have an aorta that is not connecting with the ductus, and it's very small on the three vessel view. This is an endocardial aortic arch. We chose to look for the ABC classification. Now here we have just one single great vessel coming out with a small pulmonary arising from the side. This is a truncus, and if you do cardiography, it would look like a hand with a thumb coming to the side of a hand. Here we have only one vessel, and this is the D or the L transposition.
Thân chung phải không? Thân chung.
Here we have no tricuspid valve, so no right ventricle. So we also will have only one vessel because the pulmonary is not going to be forming. Now here we have a three-vessel view that has four vessels. On the left side of the pulmonary, we see another vessel, which is the persistent left superior cava. When you see that, you have to see where it drains and look at the coronary sinus to see the size of the coronary sinus. And here you can see the persistent left superior cava behind the left atrium. Here we have the three-vessel view. We have the trachea over there, and we have the esophagus over here, and there behind, remember, is esophagus, normal finding. Here we have a baby in which the left aortic tract has a division here. There's a rapid division of the two. This is a double aortic arch. Baby that have double aortic arch has the right arch and the left arch, and very typically the right arch is bigger than the left arch. So this baby will be surgically corrected probably by interrupting the left arch to release the sling over the trachea. Here we have the three-vessel view with the trachea between the pulmonary and the aorta. It gives this image here, very different from what you see normally. This is the drawing that I showed you before with the double with the arch. Now sometimes you have the two vessels in parallel, as you can see over here. So this is transposition of the great artery, very different from what you see in the normal left aortic tract. So here we have the aortic arch, and underneath the aortic arch, much Yeah, we have the pulmonary arch, and we have the ductal arch over here. Now notice that both the aorta and the pulmonary are arising from the right ventricle. So you have the double object of the right ventricle, and you have the transposition of the arch at the same time. Then we have the left ventricle going through the vessel, and that vessel is dividing very rapidly. Even the length of the pulmonary is only about 2 or 3 times the diameter. So that is something that we repair of those transpositions of the artery. And when you take a cross section of the vessel here, in order to see the two vessels side by side, so that you cannot let them go here. Then you have to put a complicated situation. We look at the outward time, and then we have this image here. What is this image here? This is a colon. Put a video here. You see that this is the ductus. And the ductus is showing you see the aorta. This is called the ductal angle. It's not really negative. It's an elongation of the ductus. You see this from time to time. And this is another example. It looks like we have a piece of silver inside the chest. And when you cut it off, there's a lot of fluid now. And here you see the ductal angle. Now this is the non-developing correct self-correct oxygen, but I think this is really beneficial before, so we really need to check oxygen first. Another example is the vessel 2. When you see that the pulmonary is in the line, you have to put a long skin curve when you went to the part of this, again, the ductal angle. Here you can see the pulmonary vein returning to the left atrium. What is it? Using when brain returns a higher ventricle, but not the ventricle. It goes to the vessel here, and then the top, whether the vessel will go south from the liver or north into the abdominal vein. Another organ image of a receiver vessel coming from the right upper lobe, and then look at the systemic veins, and so we're going to be looking at the supra and inferior vena cava, and I've shown you the example here of that inferior vena cava. So what is this vessel? And then you think for 30 seconds. Okay, whose is this ductal arch? Where's your hand? What's this aortic arch? Where's your hand? Okay, 100% of you think this is neither the ductal arch nor the aortic arch. What is it?
Head and neck vessel.
As it goes? What color? Red. Red goes towards the transducer or away from the transducer? It goes towards the transducer. So the blood flow here is going this way. Okay? Important. What blood flow does that? As it goes arch. So this is baby that has left isomerism with intraoperative IVC. So be careful. Always use all the clue in your image. Don't just say, oh, this is a red arch, it has to be the aorta. This is not the aorta at all. If you have a baby that comes from a nucleolucency screening 13 weeks, and you make a coral section of the chest, and you see two vessels in the chest, one red and one blue, what is the diagnosis? You have a 14-week fetus, you make a coral section of the chest, you see two long vessels, one red, one blue. What's the diagnosis? Same thing, left isomerism. One is the aorta, and the other one is the azygos vein. Only the azygos vein is visible now. So even by 14 weeks, you can anticipate the diagnosis. Okay, so use all the information you have in your own diagnosis. So in the step 3, what we did is first look at the aorta, all the landmark of the aorta, then look at the pulmonary, see that it crosses the aorta and then has the same size. Then we look at the comparison between the aorta and the pulmonary, and finally we look at the pulmonary vein. Okay? With that, you have a complete examination. of the heart. Now, I have a fourth step, and the fourth step is much, much stronger, and I'll give you just the first few minutes of it. And this is the assessment of the rhythm. So, for those of you who have a musical ear, what is the music here? What is the song? What is the tune? Deep breath. Anyone? No one reads music here. I don't read music either, right? You can see that you have three of the same level, and then one go down. And then you have three of the same level, and then one go down. This is the Fate motif, Fifth Symphony of Beethoven. I was in Ekaterinburg in Russia, and one of the women not only said the Fifth Symphony, but she could say the Fifth motif. The reason I want to show that is that very simple tracing carries a lot of information. So, sorry, let me come back home here. I missed something. This is a patient at 36 weeks and 3 days. The heart rate is 130 beats per minute. Normal or normal? I read it as normal, but you're right, this is abnormal. I'll show you why. Is this heart rate too fast or too slow? Okay, you need to listen to that whole course there. So normal heart rate decreases from 160 beat to 150 beat during the gestation. We talk about tachycardia when it's greater than 80, and we talk about bradycardia when it's less than 110 beats per minute. It used to be less than 100 beats per minute. That was changed a few years ago, about 5-6 years ago, to 110 beats per minute. And then you have the irregular heartbeat. So there's several things we have to look at. And the reason we have to pay attention to the arrhythmia is that they can lead to congestive heart failure. And if you have a baby that has high drops and an AV block, this is usually a fatal outcome. So you have to detect those babies because some of this AV block can be corrected prenatally, and it's important to recognize these. Some of this baby have associated mechanical anomaly, particularly atrial septal defect, atrial septal defect, both Parkinson White, microcontrol valve. So these babies have to be identified also. And then I hate to tell you that, but the most common is premature atrial contraction, supraventricular tachycardia, and atrial ventricular block. But I want you to forget that because I want you to make the distinction between all the arrhythmia, not just spit off a number. So these are the conduction pathway. The sinoatrial node produces the impulse. The impulse travels through the Bachmann's bundle from the right atrium to the left atrium. So both atria are contracted at the same time. And while this is happening, there are three intermolar tracts that transfer the impulse to the atrioventricular, and then there's a little delay here, and then it travels into the right and left bundle node. So this is the conduction pathway. Now, this is an EKG, and you remember that in EKG, the distance between two big red lines here is 200 milliseconds. Now, 5 big red lines is 1 second. This on the EKG tracing is called the P wave, and this is the QRS, which is abbreviated to R because 3 letters is too long to pronounce. On our side, we have the same setting. Between two small tick marks, we have 200 milliseconds, this is small tick, and between the big tick mark, we have 1 second. If we not all machines do that, for instance, here's a machine that has 1 second for the big tick mark, but it has 500 milliseconds for the small tick marks. Now, this is a fetus that was scanned in '84, and I wanted to ask you whether this heart rate is normal or too slow. do you do that?
Dạ.
Well, very simple. You look at the tick box here, and if it had a beat every tick box, it would have a beat every 200 milliseconds. So for each second, it would have 5 beats. Okay? So for each minute, it would have 60 times 5 beats. It would have 300 beats per minute. So if the beat occurred every tick box, you would have a rate of 300 beats per minute. If the beat occurred every 2 tick marks, it'd be 150 beats per minute. If it occurred every 3 tick marks, it'd be 100 beats per minute. And I'm sure that when you were in internship, you remember the EKG rule of the lines: 300, 150, 100, 75, 60, 50 beats per minute. This is a little song that everyone has in their mind at some point. So this baby here is about 110 beats per minute, so just at the limit of bradycardia. Now, what is the heart rate of this baby? You look at the big tick marks, the small tick marks, and I will not give you the answer. You have to download the lecture and you have to make the exercise on your own. Very simple answer. So, here we have some tracings that we get typically. We have here a tracing of the left ventricle inflow-outflow. This is the ductus venosus tracing, and this is the supravena cava, infravena cava, or hepatic vein tracing. What is the name of this wave here? Okay, don't be shy. It's a letter in Vietnamese, E. How about this one? A. And this one? B. This is the ventricular systole. Now, interestingly enough, what is this little peak here before? This little one here, just before E. E represents the early diastolic filling. So this is just the beginning of diastole. So what is the event in the heart just before diastole? It's systole. And what is the part of systole right before diastole? It is the end of systole. The baby has squeezed the blood into the aorta, it's moving into the aorta, and then no more pressure, it comes back and it closes the valve. And this is the sublunar valve closure over here, okay? So this is a click that tells you this is the aortic valve closure. And similarly, what is this click here? This is just before systole. This is the beginning of systole. The ventricle is contracting, and the first thing that happens before pressure can build up is that the AV valve closes. And this makes a snapping sound, and this is the AV valve closure. So this is diastole, this is systole, and here's a bunch of systole and diastole. So try to identify the tracing when you look at it. So E, A, this is the sublunar valve closure, this is the atrioventricular valve closure, and this is V. So here we have two complete cardiac cycles, and actually there's more detail you can see. Here I told you is the sublunar valve closure. Between the sublunar valve closure and the E wave, you have a little gap here. That little gap here in between is the isophotomic ventricular relaxation. So the heart pressure is decreasing, but not enough yet so that the AV valve open and then the AV valve open. So this is isophotomic relaxation time. And on the opposite here, you have the AV valve that have closed, but the pressure is not hard enough to overcome the pressure in the aorta, and this is the isophotomic contraction time. Okay, so, and the time index, which is the measurement of the efficiency of the ventricle, is the distance between this and this here minus this. So there's a lot of information to try to get. So when we do some demonstration, I want you to look at the tracing and not get some sort of wiggly line or you can measure the heart rate. That is not sufficient. I want you to try to get EAV and this two tracing. So V is for ventricular systole, E wave, A wave, and I was in Mongolia, and in Mongolia there's this cute little camel called the Bactrian camel. And remember the Bactrian camel has two bones. This is the V wave, this is the E wave, and this is the A wave. So I asked you to find in my tracing, where is the camel? Now, if you look at the tracing here, the onset of A until the closure of the sunroof valve